Hey guys, this is Alfred back with another video, and in today's video I just want to talk about the 5.4 Genshin Impact tier list. This is my opinion of where each characters are placed, so please feel free to comment down below what you would change and what you would move. Before we start with this video, just some of the factors and considerations I made for this tier list. First of all the characters are at C0S1, so they don't have any additional constellations. I am going to assume they have their best in slot weapon, so their signature weapon, which is their S1. Second of all, I'm going to be considering their power level, so obviously characters that do more damage and provide much more value to the team will be placed higher than characters who do not do as much damage. Thirdly, I will also be considering how flexible are they, so if they can be used in many teams and they are very flexible and they are desired by many characters, they will be placed higher on the tier list, whereas characters that are very stringent and very strict, they will be lower on the tier list. So obviously if a character is a main staple for many teams, they'll be placed higher, whereas a character that is not even the best in slot for certain teams will be placed at a lower tier. And lastly, I will also be considering the current spiral bliss for the patch. However, this factor I do not really consider as much, but it's something I also consider as well when I want to move the characters from the left of the tier list to the right of the tier list. And with all that said, let's begin with this video. Now the first character I want to talk about is Mizuki and where she stands. In my opinion, she will be placed at B tier. Overall, she is actually a solid standard character, although I'm not 100% sure why Hoyoverse released another Anemo standard character. However, Mizuki is a decent one. Her role in the team is she is an enabler and not a main DPS. She will not do as much damage as Scaramouche because Scaramouche is a main DPS, but she will be an enabler for your sub DPS to do damage. So you can look to play something like Furina, Yaimiko, Fischl, etc. Any character that has great off-field damage with her, and she will do enough swirl for them to do enough damage. So overall, she will be placed in the B tier. We have to keep an eye on her for now because the spiral base is obviously going to change, so maybe her ranking will also change in the future. Next, I want to talk about some of the changes I did from the previous tier list. First of all, Zhongli will be moved up to S+ tier. Overall, I still feel like he is an amazing shielder. He is a great buffer for your team as well because of the defense shred. This is why Zhongli will be placed at a higher tier. If you decide to place him at S tier or even at the top of A tier, I completely understand. He is Geo and Geo is not a strong element in the game. This is why you can also consider him to be at S tier or A tier. However, I still feel like the utility he provides and the value for the shields he provides as well is exceptional and no other character can replicate what he does. Next change I want to talk about is Emily. Emily will be moved up to S tier. Previously, I did rank her at A tier, which is a little bit unfair. In my opinion, Emily is a very strong burning character, and in order to make burning and Burgeon work, you definitely need Emily in the team. If you decide to run a Burgeon team without Emily, you'll realize that the damage numbers will drop significantly, and this is the reason why I feel like Emily should be moved up to S tier. Alongside with Emily, I also moved Shenhe up to S tier as well. Because of the rise of Citlali, many players right now are leaning towards cryo main DPS to be played in their freeze team or their melt teams. So because of that, Shenhe also has seen an increase. You don't necessarily have to play Shenhe with a cryo main DPS. You can technically also play her with Citlali to increase Citlali's DPS, but generally speaking, Shenhe just a great cryo enabler and will significantly increase the damage for your cryo main DPS, and this is the reason why I moved her to S tier. Although if you drop her down to A tier, it is reasonable because her usage is strictly used only in cryo teams. However, you will realize that when you place her in a cryo team, the damage numbers will significantly increase. Next on the list, I did move Mona and Jin to A tier. The value they provide is actually really good for a standard banner character, and I feel like their kit is actually much more useful than Mizuki itself. Let's first talk about Mona. In my opinion, Mona is like a budget version of Furina. She won't be able to provide the increase in damage for your DPS unlike Furina, and obviously she does not have the same amount of Hydro application as Furina, but she has a lot of burst damage. So if you play her in burst teams which require a Hydro sub DPS, you can consider something like Mona to do and fill up the damage. Like I said, she is a budget Furina, so she's obviously not going to do as much damage as her, but if you need someone to fulfill Furina's role and apply Hydro main DPS off field, you can consider someone like Mona. And next I want to talk about Jean. The Sunfire build for Jean is fantastic and it's still a really decent build to be playing right now, but the main reason why Jean I moved her up is because she is an amazing Anemo healer. Her value she provides to the table will be much more than Mizuki, so similar to Mizuki, we'll need to see how well she performs in the future when the spiral base changes, but for now, if you want to move her down to B tier as well, it is completely fair. Next, I'm gonna be moving Diluc to B tier alongside with Yoimiya. I feel like Diluc is so much stronger than his counterparts at C tier. That's the main reason why I moved him up to B tier. The plunging build with Shenhe is fantastic. So I've personally tried it and now I am a strong believer for it. This is the reason why I moved him up to B tier. Obviously at C0 he's not going to be hitting as hard, but with more constellations which you'll eventually get in the future, you can definitely even move him up to A tier if you get more constellations for him. And the last change I want to talk about is I did move Dehya down to C tier, and honestly I'm just very close to bringing her down to D tier. So personally for me, I used to think that Dehya is very essential for a Virgin team. However, now I realize that even Thoma, which is a 4-star character, will do better and will do so much more for a Virgin team than Dehya. This is the reason why I move her down to C tier. And sometimes you don't even want to run Dehya in the Virgin team. You might even just mess up the Virgin, and it's the main reason why I move her down to C tier. And honestly, if you want to put Dehya at D tier, it is completely fine as well. So those are the changes for the tier list. I did not move much of the other characters. So once again, this is my opinion. So please feel free to have your own opinion and comment down below what you would change for this tier list. If you like videos like this, please do leave a like. It shows me I should do more. Comment down below once again what you would change for this tier list. And finally, do subscribe. We'll be doing more videos like this in the future. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.